Oh, thank you. Just for the committee. Okay, you did. Bringing them all, bringing them there. Like, through the class. We have. To be close. Moment. Yes, yes, today is fine.
Good evening and welcome. Just a few items to mention. I'd ask you please silence your cell phones. Our meetings are public and recorded. This is a business meeting. We ask everyone to conduct themselves in a professional manner. City code allows for public comment up to 3 minutes, and for best sound quality, I encourage everyone to lean into their microphones when they speak. One note tonight, we have a guest with us this evening that's going to talk about our Rats Park renovation project. So rather than hold him the whole evening, we will start with the recreational facilities committee meeting, and then we'll just loop back around and go back to the regular agenda. So with that, I will kick it over to Kyle for the recreational facilities.
Thank you, Mayor. All recreational facilities were at 6 P.M. Myself, Honda, Leroy, Peel, and Demond are all present. Under old business, Rats Park renovation project update. Gary, if you would, go ahead. Very hard group.
Here, will you put the microphone closer to you? Yeah, thank you.
Although it's being handed out, wasn't by here tonight, just go over more items like that and what we've done the last couple of months, solicited splash pad bids, building bids, figuring together, getting the numbers together. And then we were able to preliminary meet last week for 10 findings. So a couple things we wanted to get everybody up to date on is if you can switch to the first plan to C 1.1. And I don't know if you all remember grant submittal drawings, but we have moved the pad back to where originally everyone was showing. By doing that, if you flip to page 2, it'll show why. All the utilities are right there. So you can see the line right next to the pad is the waste line, sanitary line, and there's electrical and water on the other side of the building. So for us, it just made more economical sense to move it there, less excavating, piping, facilities. The other thing we came up with when we did this is we realized it would be better to probably, if someone had a child at the pool and then someone had little ones at splash pad, they could be closer to the other child and parking in the building, they'd all be at some spot. The other thing is that it has a better visual throughout too, so it's so that is the first big decision we made that we want to share with everyone. The second one is going to be we received the numbers back on recirculation versus what I call flow through water system. flow through water system being, if there's no equipment, there's no pumps. The water is just pumped to it and it's dumped back in the sanitary sewer. I know there was lots of reservations on this, but the short of it is. The recirculation system costs about $300,000 more, which puts us at 1.1 million. So. The other one puts us about 4% over budget, and we believe that's manageable, we will get the whole project in the budget. So I've got some backup documents here in case anyone has any concerns about the flow through water. I know they're kind of a touchy subject, some people don't like the fact that we're dumping water. If you turn to page 2 there. We provided a cost, which showed the cost of the recirculation system for $518,000 versus the flow through system. And there's a difference of $236,000. Doing the math of the water rates that were provided to us by the city and by Vortex, who was the splash pad person that was low, splash pad company. It's looking at about $18,000 a year for the cost of water. Subtract a yearly cost of $6,500 a year off that, because a recirculating system still has cost. You have to have somebody goes out there every day and flushes it, you've got chemicals, it still uses water. Subtract that cost off of that, and you get that number of 12,000. Divide that into the difference of the splash pad cost, it's looking at about a 19-year payoff. So, recirculation.
What's the life expectancy on it?
I don't know that. I mean, like the water heater.
Yeah.
I think that would get more narrow on if the companies are wrong, they didn't buy it for them.
Wasn't worried about the marketing store. What's the life expectancy if it was the recirculating? Do you know what those typically last for? They have to be replaced.
No, but I do know, I've seen some verbiage from my research here, you just look back at page 1. That kind of breaks down the recirculation system and all of its cost. And a lot of them talk about this 2-year mark where you're starting to replace parts and filter or pumps and gasketing, and they just got a line item in there for $500-800 a year. So
I think 19 years would be quite a few different things.
right, and obviously there's lots of variables to that. I mean, the water usage could be off based on, this water usage was based upon a fabulous flat that company provided to us. They figure 70% of the 100-day cycle of the summer, figure 70% of that, and then they also added they have an activator feature, so it's not constant for the flow through system. It's not constantly pumping water to every feature. It turns some on and off. It's a 70%.
We'll be able to have control over when it's actually running, the fact that someone has to be there to turn it on, so we're not just wasting the whole time.
Right, so what it'll be is they'll come, this is how I'll explain it in the next question. So they'll come there and they turn on the flat pad, I think it's in the 3. And then while it's doing it, you can set this up as how you want it to go, the city like to go, where it's switching features. You can have 2 on over here and then it switches to the next 2 or 3. You can put them all on, I guess, if you want. So there are a lot of variables, and so this is a high level study of this number. And I know in talking to the flat companies over the last two months, they all kind of agree that since this was a project and the budget, looking at the budget, that this is the way to go.
Jared, if you remember when we submitted the grant application, did we include both options, the recirculation and the food dump in the application of the state? What did we include to the state?
I don't think they included which system.
Oh, it wasn't in there at all, because if we did, we would want to communicate with them and make sure that we have approval to switch if we need to switch before we get into.
Right, and we will be, because there's a couple other things we're moving around. If you go back to the second one, you can see. We've moved the climbing rock.
Oh, so we're gonna have to have.
Yeah, so the big thing is we still have to put those features. That's a big part of the grant, is to make sure we're including what we put in the code. It's our understanding based upon what my landscape guy was telling me is that I think they move these things around.
Yeah, you can go through one right.
There are any rules and regulations to the state of Illinois as far as which system they would prefer or not. Do they have a choice in it?
Further, but I know that part of this number, this difference in showing. Is when you do a recirculation, now you're dealing with IPH, so you're dealing with, they look at it like a pool, so you're looking at pool permit or IPH permits, treatment. It's got to go through an IPH review, which is about $17,000 in 6 months. Whole bunch of stuff kicks in on IPH. I don't think they mandate which one it can be. It's just if you're going to do recirculation, you have pumps and chemicals, then you have to. The last 2 pages on there, I don't know if we go to all of those, you guys can look at them, but there's a whole bunch of differences in what happens if you do this one, and what happens if you do that one. I kind of hit on that high level. Another one that I found very interesting when looking at this was, I thought this in a lot of research was kids drinking water. So I didn't realize how kids drink pool water, but they say for some reason on a splash pad, it looks like a water fountain. Kids are more apt to reach down and drink out of it like a drinking fountain. And with a recirculation, they're drinking treated water, like pool water. And on the other one, it's just fresh.
Water that would come out of the tap.
Yeah. So there are some benchmarks too. I wanted to put all this out there. Along with the fact that the other one was just in the budget. They're on the same page and.
So if, this is, I'm assuming, probably, with everything that you guys have been encountering, have you ever any issues with, we might be not having the materials to get this done in time, or is everything going pretty smooth? And if everything is going smooth and we keep going the way we're going, what would our anticipated start time?
Well, that's a good point. So. If we go with the flow through water system, I think we're looking at a. Polymer breakdown the wall, yeah, this year. We need to pull them off. Otherwise, it probably needs spring. I don't know something about the other one, it puts us out of budget, so. And there's a lot of other things too, so if you look at the rendering I have on there. You'll see that. We've included fencing. And the restroom. So the fence, if we do the flow through system, the fencing and the restrooms are not required. But we thought they were in the grant, it's gonna be on the other end, so we figured we would put it in there, it would be nice to have the restrooms there. We're looking at one of these pretty big concrete building, they can see in the parcel where they bring it in, it's like a plug and play building. They look it up. So we were able to do that by not doing the recirculation system, which would require this stuff. We're able to add this stuff because there was money left over. And we feel the fencing and all that it's a nice feature. It defines the space, it keeps kids from riding their bicycles across the path. Keeps the kids corralled.
So you guys have done the work to know that the city's water infrastructure can support the flow rates and.
Right.
What is the 4 inch out there you said? We have not done that.
But we still could maybe need some pumps, or the city might need to upgrade anyway.
4 inch, I think they said add needed like 2 inch. Or pad in the building was like 2 inch.
I don't know,
That's involved.
so when we talked about this before, over the multiple years we've been discussing, I know we talked about the flow through last time, and I don't think that, I thought you might have looked it up, but I thought they act like that would be sufficient for what we're doing, because it's, like you said, man.
They did, it was all dependent upon what toys we chose and what the nozzles are at the end and how much. They paid. But 4 inch line was deemed as that.
Well, it might be adequate for flow rate, but not pressure. That would be the concern.
Right. Where we're at now is the design. So we're in a process of getting which direction are we going to go? So then that's the next step is to study that stuff with the engineers involved. But we didn't want to do that.
I get Josh, the other question, I guess I would have along with what Ben asked about the water. Sanitary sewer wise, is the capacity there, since you're gonna be flushing all this water into the system?
Like I said, that'll be, as long as it's regular day, I mean, it's probably normal usage, so. And other than you're having more. During a typical time, I mean, it's probably no different than if we have rain event type situation where we're getting a lot coming down, so. And we'd be able to handle it. I mean, if not, it goes into our overflow and then it comes back through the plant to be treated. So what extra capacity do you have on it? I mean, do you know, is there? I don't know the number offhand. This does have to go into sanitary sewer. You can't just put it down into the creek, no.
That would be nice.
How many, so if the system's full, and you decide to flush it out at the end of the day, how many gallons of water at a time through the, you have any idea?
It's gonna be constant.
It's gonna be constantly flowing, okay. But you don't know the amount of gallons per hour or anything.
It was. 3 million divided by, I'll give you about 32,000. What is it, 23,000 gallons? That would be divided by 100 a day.
Yeah.
And Jared, you said that they're basing it on 70%. There's 70% usage out of those 100 days.
Yeah, there's actually a double reduction, so they do it for a 100-day season. And then they multiply that by a 70% factor of day usage, I guess 9 days and things like that. And then off time, you're not using it.
Okay.
And then
That's what I was
and
saying.
then that's not down by another 70% because of the activator. Where it's switching.
So what are they looking at? Maybe 6, 7, 8 hour day probably.
They use 8 as a base, but then 8 times 70% times like another 70%.
Yeah, and then, there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, some of it depends on what your technology.
Product.
Realistically, this number with water could be.
Yeah, how many features we're going
Well,
on?
I mean, I guess my point is, if the water usage will become a problem, then maybe at some point we need to look at. Maybe we can't open it again. Something.
Right, or during the week, we're not gonna have it open from 8 AM to whatever, but weekend, we can adjust and. We're gonna have to do some of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it would be,
But one of the biggest things I was surprised by in all of this was the fact that with the recirculation. Ad that an employee has to provide that twice a day. Like, figure if that person's spending a half hour there a day, an hour a day, and $30 an hour, that would matter.
So, and I don't want to get into all the IDPH stuff, but I know we've been to a pool before, and if a kid gets sick. And it goes in the system, do they not have to like clear the pad and have it go for so long before you can run it again, whereas something like this, it's. Gone, I guess is what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's like, essentially, yeah. So, I mean, I can see pros and cons.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah,
But you're thinking it's basically a plus. Like a running toilet, right? I mean,
And then Jared, this price difference that you show from recirculation to flow through, then you would add on the IDPH fees and other things to this number. That's not the end.
well, that difference there actually has the IDPH.
Okay.
included.
I didn't know it did.
That came from our overall breakdown. Yeah. And then the last thing I saw on the back sheet was, and it's something I had not thought about. Until I read this, was the difference in liability insurance between. Slide pad, recirculating the flow through. I saw an example on this that somebody's I don't know which municipality was $30,000 a year for the research. With the chemicals and all the liability insurance was 30,000, and then it went to 3 this time. So that's another factor that I did not add, which is all managed. If I also didn't know.
Like running a pool, I guess they classify it as a pool.
Yeah, they consider it a pool.
The risk of a lot.
For the I guess the chemicals. They probably on their scale, they went, it's a pool, that's great.
And
Even though it's not.
So will there be more meetings to go over the actual details of this? He wasn't ready to go into this tonight.
I would think so, that we just needed some direction to get started, because even some of these questions you're bringing up, they haven't delved that deep, because they need to know which, they're at a crossroads here, do we go left or do we go right?
We just need to update.
Yeah.
Around what.
Anybody have any other questions? I mean, you're not looking for any recommendations or any motions or anything like that, and that, I mean, theoretically, I think we're probably leaning towards the flow through. I'd say get as much information as I can, but I think.
Flow through. I think that's our, I don't know if we can go there. Right. But here's one of the greatest.
I think it's the only option.
Yeah.
And if it's a 19-year payoff, then, you know, it goes to be shot 19 years ago. So, you know.
Anybody have any other questions? Thank you for the update.
Are we better served having a motion on the next list? So the location up front, is okay, that's the first question. And then the flow through is, okay, that's our two main questions tonight.
The drawings are amazing. I think it looks really great.
And the actual toys that are shown on that pad and butterfly and all that stuff, that's. Right, but we will sit down yet and what, we're always pick out the toys and what theme was a big, you've got a million different. Those are the next stages of development, was to secure a splash pad company and then work with that company on their parts and pieces and. And their engineering as well.
Then Ben, we can do some periodic updates as they get farther down the road with this, because this gives him some go space now.
Yeah, the reason I was asking was some of these details seem odd to me, and I don't know how they came up with them.
I just keep the articles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would.
When I pulled that off of a splash pad company and they would do the comparisons. And then the last page is, it shows the little fitness workout area, and we incorporated with. Splash pad area, and then part of the area, the butterfly gardens and. Whatever we had on the grant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
Under, moving on to the next item. Musket facilities, additional lighting for multi-purpose field. I don't believe we're ready to do that yet. And that also goes with the flying windows. Under new business, I'll make a motion to approve requirements meeting minutes from February 20th, 2023.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. There was Parks and Rec meeting minutes in the packet. We have a quote. We should have done this last meeting and it's go through the crack. Is to replace the AstroTurf for out at the ball diamonds on the batting cage, the one that sits next to the shed. I guess it's all peeling up and I want to put new down. So they got a quote with the glue and everything. It's going to come out to be $1631.91. So I would make the motion not to exceed $1,700 so we could get that fixed for spring.
Kyle, when they do the labor.
Yes. Yep. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comments, anything for the order? Yeah, with the city? Hearing none, I will close at 6:20.
Okay, thank you. We will regroup here and shift back to the finance committee and then pick up the normal order.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Call Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:24. Myself, Alderman Honda, Monica, Schwartzfeld, and Peel, all present. First item on the old business is FY 24 budget draft. With a bunch of different variables in there. And is there anything we need to necessarily go through at this point?
No, the mayor, Liz and I met with everyone with the exception of Kyle, who had a conflict, so we're gonna try to meet with him yet this week. We summarized and did include your summary sheets from the original submission in the packet. So if you could take some time to look over those. And I guess we'll do further discussions in April. And the goal will be to approve the budget and the appropriation ordinance. at the May City Council. We do have a few corrections that are more typos that we already need to correct. So we'll do those between now and the April committee meeting, and if anyone notices anything that needs corrected, please contact us and we'll put that on our sheet so that we can do those all at once and include them in the packet as well.
And then Pam, I guess just to make sure that everybody is aware of it, under the Finance Committee budget meeting, you've got some highlighted areas. So under the gas, increase of 98.5% can be attributed to gas purchasing with the increased cost, is that correct?
Yeah, those are Josh's submittals.
I just highlighted those to kind of bring your attention to it.
And the same way under salaries and stuff like that.
That's correct. It was just kind of to kind of show where it was coming from, just kind of point it out to you, guys, give you something to really look at.
Okay. And you don't need any kind of approval.
No, nothing this evening. The goal will be to go kind of run through, I guess, the summary sheets and the overall budgets and any corrections that we have running next month. And then we'll get a motion next month and send it forward to the May City Council meeting. And we'll have a hearing at the May City Council meeting, like 5:45 that evening for the appropriation ordinance before it's passed.
Thank you. Nothing else on old business, on new business. We look for a motion to approve prior month's meeting minutes from February 20th, 2023. Move. Motion and a second. All in favor, saying aye. Those opposed. Okay, the motion carries. CD information is the register for the investments is in the part as part of your packet. Do we have any maturing CDs coming due? Well, it's listed on there, but I don't think so.
No, we should just include that for informational purposes, so you can see when they are due, which looks like November 24.
And I know, Pam, when you and I talked additional funds for investing, I guess you have kind of identified possibility of some additional funds that can be invested.
So in your packet, you have a handout that identifies $600,000, $500,000 out of the capital purchase opportunity reserve fund. And then $100,000 out of economic development that could be invested if the city council so chooses. We would recommend a 6-month up to a 1-year term, but no more than that. So if the city council is interested in looking at numbers that are interest rates, I'll have Liz go contact the banks between now and the city council meeting in May. And we'll put that on the city council agenda and you can look at the rates and who's offering what and make a decision. If you want to invest those monies.
Question I would have, Paul, I think this came up last time. If we had it kind of set up with Edward Jones and found that you could not do that, is that correct?
I think it was more Edward Jones didn't. Okay, but there are rules.
Okay, but
They're
those are
corporate.
because of the state fund.
They're corporate.
So we might
We'll
be
go to-
bound by the same thing, probably.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be the same, but we'll go to all of the financial institutions and give them the opportunity to submit a bid. North Penn State, Unit Vista Beecher, all of them will get the opportunity to bid.
If payment at the same time, you may want to find out where they're at on an MMDA account. what kind
Yeah,
of-
that should be listed on
What
there.
kind of interest we're getting, is it on there? I mean, I'm sure,
Yeah, I'll make sure. that-
yeah, I'm sure CD.
The cities, you can probably get, 4 and 5%. Okay, interest income,
So this is a new concept that I spoke to the mayor about. As we started investing some of these CDs, we were looking at a sheet to see what kind of money we're getting on our return. One idea was, or one thought, or one clarification, I guess I wanted to get from the city council, is you have a couple of options. Not so much with the proprietary funds, but with the general fund CDs that we invest. Are you good with the money? From the interest from those CDs going back to the originating fund where we invested the dollars? Or do we want to see the interest income from CDs that we invest in go to a separate fund? So say streets, we invest $100,000. Originally, or what we've been doing is the interest that we earn off of any CD would go back to streets too. But another option would be to take all of the interest income and putting it in a separate fund for, say, other projects or other general funds, things that we wanted to save for or do whatever.
that would be my question, I guess, if you're going to do it as a general, I call it slush fund. Would there be certain things that you would be willing to spend that money on?
That is up to you guys.
Okay.
That would be up to the city council and what, if that money is allocated or restricted towards certain things. If the money is currently in the MMDA account for, say, streets, that interest is already going back to streets. So they are getting, the individual departments are getting the
Interesting.
income from the MMDA account. If we invest in CDs, it's typically more money. Say you have $10,000 or $20,000. Is it the city council's preference that that too goes back to, say, the street fund, or do you want to start tracking that and putting that, keeping that separately for whatever you so choose?
Proprietary funds, we would not.
That money would stay with the proprietary funds. That interest would stay with it, like electric, gas, and sewer. Correct.
That would have to stay.
I think that has to stay, yes.
Yeah, in my knowledge, we've always just put it back in the fund.
Yeah, and it was just a new idea, if, you know, if you wanted to try to save towards something else, or you wanted to track it separately and have that as a separate. Money that wasn't necessarily allocated to a specific department or use. And you don't have to make a decision tonight, it's just something to think about. And going forward, as we invest more and more money, it starts to add up.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think everything, most of what we invest in is on a yearly time period. Correct? So we would have a little time yet to look at that and maybe come up with some ideas on what we could or could not do with it. Again,
yeah, it would be interesting to see what kind of like effort to.
So if you look on the CD list. Look at the street CD. And the amount invested, the interest earned as of March of 2023, I know it's a little. So $9,452.05. And originally I had Liz, like, don't deposit the check, I would talk to the city council about it first. But then because we did have a check and we wanted to not have it laying around, we went ahead and deposited it in the street department or in that account. For now, but if we decided to do something different with it, we can make a change, but you can see how fast some of that money is gonna add up. And the departments still do have the money that was allocated to them. With that, if you wanna consider the interest income, you could, you know, keep an eye on it and maybe you don't have to allocate as much the following year. I don't know. You guys, it's just an idea that.
well, I think if it's all right, we really don't need a decision on this. For next meeting, I'll do a little homework on that and kind of get an idea of what kind of figure we're looking at. And that would give us a little more educated guess on what we want to do with it.
And think about it, you might come up with new ideas or something between now and the next committee meetings.
If it's minimal money, I don't. but like you said, you know, we got 9 grand.
Absolutely.
It's first time we've seen this.
Yes, yeah, it is, and that's the point to bring it up, 'cause,
You haven't seen this in a long time, so.
Right.
yeah,
We used to have a whole bunch of this.
yeah, the list used to be a full page years and years ago, but.
And even
we're
like
building that
Economic
up.
Development Commission or.
Right.
Right.
It's worth exploring.
Yeah.
I'll kind of get some figures that I got and maybe some.
Whatever we can help with. That's new.
Moving on then from, under new business, financial dashboard, everyone should have a copy of that in there. Just quick highlights on that. We're at, basically 83% of our fiscal year. On the revenue side, we are plus 20% right now, above our budgeted numbers, which is again, a good thing. And then on the expenditure side, if you look at those, we're actually 41% below budgeted numbers. So we're in pretty good shape there.
The economic development transfer in. When do we have to go?
Pam, you want to explain the economic development transfer in as far as
Oh,
income?
loans. There's loans.
This budget is one.
Yeah, so that's where we get any loan applications for the program. But we don't have any, well, we did have a potential for a loan, but I don't know that it's gonna come through. So that would only happen if there's a loan application.
What is budget for?
There's a transfer in and a transfer out, it washes on the
It
sheet.
washes on the sheet.
Then we guessed that we would pay out $400,000 in loans. So far this year, it's been 0. And it is an in and an out. On the top of the bottom of the sheet.
I guess really the only ones that kind of stick out, I was asking Kyle this before the meeting. Parks and Rec is at 138% of expenditures.
That was, I was for. But they're all wrong.
That includes the capital fund transfer. Set up the capital fund, she's got to run it through here.
Yeah, I didn't, I just looked at it, so I wasn't sure if that.
If we wanted to do that out, it would be, well, I think that is the. What that number was. We funded the capital plan, that's got to run through here and that, it makes us look.
Skewed, yeah.
Yes, it looks skewed.
I think I asked this last year too, crisis intervention is kind of the same way,
Yeah, that's the Western Egyptian money.
but again, I think that some of just looked very favorable. Okay, next item under new business, authorization to apply for grants. And I guess Pam, you've got 3 different ones that are listed.
Yes, I do.
Congressionally directed spending, cost and ductworks office. Prevention Heritage Fund grant, City Hall repairs. Leadership council grant for comprehensive plan.
So I don't, if we're not spending any money, because these are not matching grants, I think you can probably make one motion to approve all 3 submittals. If you
And
say-
again, we're just authorizing to apply for these, is that correct?
Correct.
Would entertain a motion, again, the 3 different grants that are listed there for authorization to at least fill out the application for these grants. So move. Have a motion, do we have a second? Have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Okay, here you go, Brian. Item number 5, volunteer month contributions, Parks and Rec, Economic Development Planning Commission.
So this is something that we started last year, is that right? With April being National Volunteer Month, we tried to make a contribution on behalf of our volunteers that serve on the Planning Commission, the Economic Development Commission, and the Parks and Rec Commission. Last year, we made a $20 contribution to the Community Foundation in each of their names. And I believe the mayor, did you send a letter to each of them, letting them know that we had done that on behalf from the city for volunteerism? So there's a check request in your packet that identifies the total cost. And unless the city council has a different idea on where you would want it to go, recommendation is for it to go again to the community foundation.
How much was that total? Pam?
$640.
Okay, would entertain a motion to do a $640 donation. For the volunteer month. Motion, do we have a second? Okay. We have a motion, a second, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Okay. Landscaping services from Country Bloomers and Illinois Country Harvest, I'm assuming these are the community areas.
Yes, this is the area, these are the areas that we had Drew's Landscaping maintained last year. And I struggled a little bit trying to find companies that could accept all of the work and do a good job, just because everyone's overwhelmed. So I was able to communicate with Country Bloomers and Illinois Country Harvest, and between the two, they would maintain the 2 flower beds in front of City Hall, the 4 entrance signs to the city, the Thielen bed at the city parking lot, and the entrance sign to the utility department. Now, Country Bloomers is going to charge $65 an hour. And Illinois Country Harvest, as you saw in your packet, broke their quote down 3 different segments. So in the past, we've always only done basically 1 session, and that was in the spring through the summer. So it's really, I don't want the city council to think that you have to do all 3. She submitted a quote for all 3. In the least, I would recommend that we do the session now, the season one, spring and summer one. It's $864.20. So that would get us through the growing season, say probably October when the first frost is, whatever that is. She also included amounts for fall and for winter. The winter one is quite expensive, and I think that's because she's going to have a lot of hours invested, and there's a lot of live greenery that she would put in those planters. I don't think that you have to act on all 3 of them tonight. The only one that I would like approval on is the first one, because spring is upon us and she needs to order all of the supplies to get them planted. If you want to wait and act on the other 2 later in the year, or if you decide that you don't want to do them, I think I can just get deadlines from her that say, I need to know by this date for the fall and this date by the winter, if you want to do the 2 additional.
So what's the total cost for the Country Bloomers to do the,
$65 now.
so there is no total cost?
No, and honestly, Josh, I don't know if you can. They do a great job. They're here typically when I call them and ask them to come. They mow the grass once a week. I don't feel like they abuse whatsoever the maintenance of any of the grounds that we have them maintain.
Just that they're overdoing on the prices. Can she not do it all? Does she not want to do it all?
That-
Uh,
Oh, Illinois Country Harvest,
Yeah.
she does not really do that work. So Jennifer has like a summer garden where you go and pick flowers at her facility. She does planters and talent. She does all the leaf brown planters, and she does the planters at Office Square. But she doesn't really do major maintenance of the entrance signs. She can't do all of that. She just doesn't have the time because of everything else she has going on. And Country Bloomers didn't feel like they would be able to pay the attention that the planters here at City Hall would need, because you're pruning them every week, you're watering them a couple of times a week, and Jane just didn't feel like they could do all of it. So that's why I tried to split it up between the 2.
but she was offering
Yeah,
it.
they
She
were
turned it down.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I did communicate with both of them. This is kind of a happy medium when Jennifer couldn't do it all and Jane couldn't do it all. We kind of went with, well, this is Jennifer's area of expertise, and these are the things Jane's capable and interested in doing, so it worked.
Looking at, it looks like, they would be buying, if we went with the full package, Christmas trees and other decor,
Oh, it's,
where would they be keeping it? Like at the end of the season, if they're gonna move the basement of City Hall? Or are they gonna,
all the Christmas stuff is live, so when it's dead, it's getting.
it says we're using.
A lot of this.
Oh, some of it's.
That's what I'm saying, it looks like behind decorations.
Yeah, they would stay here. We
Because,
would
I
keep
mean,
possession of them because that we would be purchasing them, so we would have to keep them here. But as far as all the live, yeah, a lot of it, like I thought you meant expense
Oh,
wise.
if they make City Hall look like in front of Nathan Brown, I'm in all of it.
Well, I don't agree that. I think my suggestion at this point though is why don't we approve the spring and visit the other two when it comes time, get a date from them.
I'll get a deadline from her on the fall and on the winter, and then I'll just put it back up the agenda prior to give her enough
And it'll
notice.
give us all a feel.
Oh,
That's it for us.
Did I send up an email that had the attachments of the
colors. Yeah.
Did you open those attachments? Did anyone open those attachments? Because it tells you there's a diagram on there on every plant she's gonna put in there and how full they're gonna be, and they're all diagrammed. And the reason I sent it out electronically is because it's all color and you can really get a feel for what it's gonna look like. And in the fall and in the winter in the past, those planters have just been empty and been kind of. Yeah. Wow.
And I noticed on those two that they include tax.
Well, that's only on, I don't think she's tax exempt, so we would have to work that out. The reason she included tax is because she would have to pay tax to purchase the items herself. Yeah, so we'd have to, I know it's she had tax on it.
Those are motion. We did the first discussion. We need two separate motions.
Yeah.
First. I'll make a motion that we approve the spring 2023. Not to exceed $900.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, for spring session, not to exceed $900. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And then at the same time, I guess we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to hire Country Bloomers at $65 an hour to take care of.
The entrance signs, the utility entrance sign, the Henry Phelan.
And
Okay, we have a motion and a second to hire Country Bloomers. And then are we gonna do that as a spring session also at this point?
They'll do that until it's no longer grass cutting season, and they'll come up one final time at the end of the season and clean up all the entrance signs for like the winterization of it.
At a rate of $65 an hour. Got a second? I'm sorry, I didn't get it. We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Okay, motion carries. Nothing else on the agenda under business. Any public comments or anything for the good of the city? Adjourn Finance Committee at 6:46.
Okay, thank you. We will switch now and we're going to do the personnel.
Our personal committee order at 46, I have myself, Field, Dojan, here. Under old business, we have the WHO wage and benefit study. I know we're going through all of it. You've been contacting WHR and some of the job categories we've had, heard back from them. We did hear back, but we'll be able to get it out to us until the end of the week. There's a lot of information to be going through, so I got a couple options we want to do. Do we want to do this in the next committee meeting, go over it, or do you want to guys have a separate, just personnel committee before our committee meetings, we can hang around on the study and go from there. And I know we're gonna dump a lot of information on you. I don't know, it's time constraints, we're gonna do 2 meetings or 1, or what do you guys want to do? And then we do 2 information, you can find out information in that meantime, if there's questions, more questions arise. And then we can, then we're gonna come back to the committee meeting and maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, last meeting, Ronnie, brought the idea that getting somebody from there here.
And work that. I think you're probably have to. Plan on a Zoom call or something like that in person. Well, I'll contact them again and see what we can do. Ideas what you guys want to do. Have another meeting, you want to, we'll just hammer all out next meeting.
It'd probably be more beneficial to have a small personnel meeting. And go through the nuts and bolts of it before we sit down and. Go through it all, I mean, that's just my thoughts, I'm neutral on all of it.
Well, I think,
I think it's probably more productive, maybe, I don't
I
know.
don't think so, I think. Ronnie has put a lot of times and stuff like this, and Bill, I don't want to see that we're not.
No, everybody's still gonna say, everybody,
You said small group. So.
oh, I just think personnel meeting, everybody still goes to, if you go to it, it's no different than. Economic development or anything else, if we would go, I mean, everybody, it's a public meeting.
Yeah, I think the idea was that if you could focus on personnel that night, it wouldn't be 5 or 6 committees that would be meeting the same evening. You could have one committee meeting, however long it took. But
That would just be the only committee meeting of the evening,
That
would be
night.
personnel, would be the only thing.
It's
the
just you,
only date would be April the 10th.
it would be a meeting before the next scheduled meeting. That's really good.
I mean, I'll talk to Pam, April 10th. Monday.
It would be the Monday between city council and the regular monthly committee meetings.
I don't know.
Do that. And I'll have a bunch more information. I'll try to get it to you as soon as I can. Once I get all the info, I'm gonna try to get it weighing things.
Are you guys wanting to keep 6 o'clock, or you want to try something earlier, something? I don't know, whatever time, well, I'll send an email out and we'll try to work out a time, and if we can make it earlier, we'll try to make it earlier, just to clear everyone's evening.
That's fine.
We'll do that then. Figure out time and send out the notice. Moving on then. Under new business, make a motion to approve department's meeting for February 20th, 2023.
I make a motion to approve it, I'm sorry.
All in favor?
I did.
All in favor? Opposed. Next up, we have life insurance. I know insurance benefits are coming up. If you guys know, we went through the wage and benefit study. Our life insurance was at 10,000, and it was on the low end compared to other municipalities. Coming up here, we have our options that we want to do. We have the 10,000, 20,000, 25,000. We can do for 3 years, we can do the standard. Now, Cam, you know how much we're paying right now?
I don't remember, it's not a whole lot. It's not a whole, it's not a big increase, but I don't remember the exact.
When it says current carrier, is that not our current, what we're paying?
Oh, there.
Okay, yeah, my bad. So right now we're paying 23 for Unicare. And if we, with the other company, it's 1752 for 10,000. 600 more. Get 20,000.
Oh, she's got a note at the bottom of the page. About the dependents too.
Yeah. When's this month? Expires, I think it's next May, I believe it's May 1st.
That probably is with it. I think that's all those there was when she did this. One thing you could do is incorporate it into your April 10th meeting. Deal with this with all the other information at that first, that's what I would recommend. I think if you want other information, Jeremy, we can put more together for that night.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll put that on the all right, next up, we have the annual pay increases. CPI is 6.5% this year. That's got a packet in here. Like we did last year, we did 7% flat. If you guys see the 6.5% flat for every employee. Comes up to 36, 72, 76. You don't have to do this time, just give you guys what you're in. We got plenty of time to go do this.
Gary, do you want this included in the packet for the April 10th meeting as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions on that or any changes? There's April 10th.
I do have a question, Jeremy. There was an extra sheet at our positions here tonight. This is an updated sheet
I
then?
think that is a sheet
Yeah.
because we figured out that the system was calculating differently than Excel was by 1 penny.
Well, that was one of the, on the part-time, one of the salary, one of the hourly rates was correct. But it was calculating based on a lower hourly rate,
It
so,
pushed it up a penny.
and then so with that change, it changed that one person's annual salary where it should have been, and then refiguring it actually just changed.
So it's
it.
Place to lose in the.
We'll have it corrected by the April 10th meeting, so it'll all, we won't need that extra sheet.
Moving on, and public comments in different city.
Tom Cavalier, City Red Rock. Hey, I appreciate the input on this annual pay increase. And time and again, as council has said, we got a flat 7% last year. No, we didn't. Personally, I got about 5%. It wasn't 7%. There was a formula made. Some guys got 9. You know, being a journeyman lineman with 40 years experience in electric and never failing to answer the call in 15 years. Then there was a formula devised where street laborers, which they made less than I did, they got more of a percentage than the flat 7. And I took a hit. You know, I thought to myself, I've been thinking about it for a year. Was it a pretty good raise? It was a pretty good raise. Was it 7%? No, it was not. It was not. And I hear citizens when I'm uptown at the tavern drinking a beer, you guys got a 7% raise. No, I didn't. You know, it felt like a slap in the face. Probably the guy that's got the most hazardous job in the city of Red Rock, other than the police. You know, be it bad weather or bad driving, I always answer the call. I was up in that bucket last week in a downpour, doing what I do because I'm damn good at it. But so if we're going to have a flat raise, I appreciate we get it, and if we're not, let's not advertise it as such, because I felt a slap in the face. I'm perfectly I did it.
Okay, we'll talk about April 10th.
All right.
All right, any other public comments? Hearing none, I'll close personnel committee at 6:56.
Thank you. We will now shift to public health and safety.
Public health and safety director at 6:56. Myself, Randy Beaver, Levi, and Doug present. Under old business, John, we got work from Decatur equipment, that was left over from last week. That was left over. Okay, we can take that off of there, yeah. Under new business, approval of prior month's meeting minutes, I'll make a motion to approve the February 20th, 2023 minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Gary, departmental activity report. Have a copy of it in your packet. Anybody got any questions for John?
Actually, February's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just type it.
Just got to change that part.
Definitely. Update that kind. Next item is a training request for Nick Reinhardt. John, you want to explain this a little bit, because I mean, you guys.
Yeah, back when Josh worked for us, we sent him to this lockup program. So it's a arrest and tactics type training. So my thought is, and he'll become an instructor or a trainer in this. My thought is that he could start, if Nick goes for this, he could start training us and start getting us up to date on a lot of the things stay up to date, just back in practice of a lot of stuff. Because as we've been here for a long time, not handcuffing and not practicing arrests. I mean, I know we make arrests, but are we always doing it correctly? I would say probably not. So this law is going to get us back to where we should be.
If you've already worked on proposals to get everybody trained.
Yes.
Will this require any lodging?
He's gonna be driving to St. Louis every day.
Okay, I make a motion, we send Nick Reinhardt to the lockup police systems, arrest and control instructor course. On June 19th, 23rd. At a fee of $895. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Public comments, anything for good of the city?
I just have a quick question. When you guys have training like this and they come back to, you know, show you guys what to do, you just pull everybody in at a certain time and pay overtime for the guys on midnights, where you guys all work together as a group, or how do you guys typically do it?
So it's like control, we have to have partners. So yeah, I have to pull them all in. So we have to get overtime. We'd probably try to arrange it, say that we do it every month or every couple months, just one, then like one during the day, try and shift it around that way, the same person can always. Basically getting overtime.
Oh, I mean, I'm not tripping on the overtime. I'm just curious to know when you guys all actually get together and train. Because
A lot
I know we do that very
of
often.
we have overlap between two. So I'm here at 2, our second car shift comes in at 2, and then our midnight car comes at 6. So we have a little bit of overlap in our day shifts here, so we can, we can get it all arranged.
I was curious.
Anything else? Adjourn public health and safety at 6:59.
Okay, thank you. We will now shift to the cultural committee.
I will call the cultural committee to order at 7 P.M. Myself, Devon, Reiniger, Hebert, and Dotron are here. We have no old business. Promotion, approve I make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes, February 20th, 2023.
Second.
All those in favor? Carries. There is a request from Ryan Dannenberg for the spring fling and use of the picnic tables. So Ryan would like to rent the pavilion by the pool, and then he can use, so that he can use the picnic tables for a spring fling event on May 13th, 2023. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve Ryan's request. All those in favor? Motion carries. There's nothing from the Sanders Village that was approved last month. Any public comments or anything for the good of the city? Hearing none, I'll adjourn the cultural committee at 7:01.
Okay, thank you. Now we will shift to public works committee.
Call the public works at 7:01, myself, Dojan Hanovich, first off, Reiniger, all present on our old business, power plant report.
Been business as usual, with our normal schedule, generating minutes as been submitted.
Utility streets,
Only thing really to update on that is, water, which original update, still working on scheduling, still looking at in May. For the delivery of the aerator, I did speak with Jim Russell with Air Plumbing last week about trying, there's a bypass that is required. As part of this work, whenever the aerator comes out of service to do that, about trying to get that work done ahead of schedule to kind of do a trial run, make sure everything's gonna operate correctly. So we're working on trying to schedule that.
under new business, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the prior month's meeting minutes. All in favor? It passes. Next item is the training request for Josh Eckert, Daniel Hester for the IMEA Power Plant Operator Seminar. That is.
Travel only required, okay, April 6th.
I make a motion, we approve this training request.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Next item is training request for Steve Mercer and Clint Traffic for the ICC Pipeline Safety Conference. And there again,
Travel and lodging would be required for this one. I've done some figures, so it'd be cheaper to have a stay the one night.
okay, so we don't have a exact hour amount on that.
What's that? It's in Mount Vernon.
Okay, I'm just saying. Approve and not to exceed number of some kind, or is it? Registration $175 a person. And then lodging.
Well, just the registration plus travel and lodging.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve this training request for registration fee and travel and lodging. Second. All in favor? Next item is a training request for Joe Ledlow at the IWPC conference.
Yeah, just to the annual conference that he goes to, and then all of this, also the sessions that he had, in that he would attend, also kind of for continuing to pay credit for licensing. Again, travel and lodging will be required.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the training request for Joe Ledlow. With travel and lodging completed.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, next item is a sewer adjustment for 306 North Main Street.
Yes, they had a water usage, we went and checked it out, and after figuring out what's going on, they had a valve, interior valve that was leaking, so it did not enter the sewer system. And for the calculations, as you can see on the back, so would be eligible for a sewer credit of $394.79.
Okay.
I have a question about this. So if somebody has a leak in their yard, inside of their valve, do they pay sewer then?
And water, they do, but this is what, because it did not enter the sewer system, they get a sewer credit.
So if the water is leaking in their yard, how's that enter the sewer?
It doesn't, they can request a credit.
Okay, that's,
If you have a leaky toilet or a water softener that's continuous cycling, that's actually going through our system, they would not be eligible for a credit on it.
So how did this just?
It's a separate valve inside the building that just leaked into the building and did.
Oh, that's like the.
It just did internal
demolition. Oh, what you okay.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion, we approve the sewer adjustment request for a credit of $394.79. All in favor? Carries. Next item is authorization to hire Upper Burn LLC for legal service regarding the renewal of the CAPP permit.
This is the air permit for the power plant generators. We utilized this service in 2018 during our last renewal process. I think the cost of them to come in, well, it did come in at 14,215.70. Recommend utilizing their services again with approval not to exceed 20,000, and that's what we did in 2018 as well.
Okay. I make a motion that we authorize to hire the LLC for legal services, not to exceed 20,000. All in favor? Motion carries. Any other public comments? I make a motion, we adjourn at 7:05.
Hey, thank you. Now we shift to zoning committee.
Thank you. Call the zoning committee meeting to order at 7:06. Myself, Evert, Woodcock, Mon, and Leroy's all present. Comprehensive plan in old business that's apparently on hold. We'll pass it to that. East Industrial Park expansion project. Jeff, you get anything?
I do, on Friday, Volker got the intersection design study completed and fired out to IDOT. Now we're at the mercy of their review up to 6 months.
Okay, and now general update, still not completed, we said it's getting closer, anything else besides that?
Paul and I have talked to them and given them an exact list of what they need. Paul given them multiple lists of what they need now. Exactly. They seem to be very interested again, and hopefully we'll get it done.
City Hall repair schedule, we discussed that last month about getting that budgeted, anything to add with that?
We did get that budgeted, and I know Pam's looking for grants, and we'll pack this this summer.
Is that going to stay on the agenda? What's in the budget? Okay.
Next thing is the zoning land use table, we discussed last month as well, any new developments with that?
We do have that finalized, and our hearing is tomorrow night. We will then present it to city council for approval.
On the new business, I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Anything, public comments, anything to do with the city? We do have, like Jeff mentioned, we have the zoning land use hearing tomorrow, and then there's also a separate planning committee meeting here. Well, tomorrow, so there's two of them tomorrow. Public comments, I will adjourn the planning committee or zoning committee meeting at 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. And we have one more meeting to go, executive session minute review.
All right, I call the executive session to order at 7:08. Myself, Devon, Leroy, Gil, and Hunabut are all present. I'd like to make a motion to approve the prior month's meeting minutes from October 17th, 2022. All those in favor? Motion carries. And all I have, do I need to read the 5 LS? I can never remember. I'd like to move into executive session under 5 ILS 120/2/21 to review potential prior meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Let's go.
No, this may take one back.
Hey, Mike. What do you want me to do for Wednesday night? Anything that you want me to focus on or have ready or look at the agenda and text me or? I just want to be on here, be Wednesday night or something. Oh, your list, I list. I'll send out to commission that review.
Right now, I just.
Yeah, I would like to see. I can. We need to one so that. Yeah. No, I'm willing to say that, just give me how I'm. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, I don't think we're right, but- I think she will. Okay, we'll see. See you guys. Yeah. You too.
Only figured out. Oh. Hey, yeah, that's good.
I didn't hear it.
What's going today? Ready to tell where?
There's only there's only the west spot right there. So. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what, but you just texted with any questions. I don't know. I was curious if there was anything of information that. The budget is on. Which you guys haven't seen it at all.
Better.
You just maybe want to know in case you do something. Dude, I don't know, I'm not asking.
Yeah. What there? What there? You let me know.
I don't know, I don't want that.
I mean, it is serious. You are lucky that you. Yep. Right? It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate you calling me. Okay, okay, bye-bye, Ryan. I'm sorry. No, yeah, no. Yeah, no, thanks. I'm sorry. You know? Nothing. Oh, okay. Okay. Reasons. Okay. It's all, yeah, they're ahead of you. Take it out of them.
We have a little technical.
Uh-oh. The recorder's dead?
We get it recorded.
Oh. Hey, then they're not gonna. All right, good work, Bob. Okay, great, I don't know what to do, but.
I just make a recommendation now.
Okay. Resume to regular committee meeting at 7:18 p.m.
I'd like to make a recommendation to release the executive session meeting minutes from 3/21/22 and 10/17/22. I'd like to make the motion to do that. Second. All those in favor? Motion carried. Any public comments? I will adjourn the meeting at 7:18.
Thank you, that concludes your meetings.